Huh. Everyone really likes Helluva Boss. Guess I'll give it a shot. I mean, it's not bad, but definitely overhyped. So, to clarify a few things before this video starts, I do not hate Helluva Boss or its creator VivziePop. I just figured I'd get that out of the way. I say this because not everything I say in this video will be positive. With all that being said, I know some people will not give this video a chance, and I will be labeled as someone who hates the show. Trust me, I know this might happen, so if you are watching this, thank you for giving me a shot and not just clicking off the video. Keep in mind, I am a casual viewer of this show, meaning I watch the show like a few times, then don't think about it afterwards. So everything I say comes from an unbiased perspective. Not a fan, not a hater, just someone who's neutral about the show. With that being said, let's get into the video.
Goofy!
Murder!
Goofy, shut the fuck up!
I love murder!
Why? Goofy!
The demons told me to!
Oh, fuck! God.
Not much to say. It is the first episode after all. So, I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Czy to Freddy Fazbear? Oh, 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 oh.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty neutral on this episode. I don't not like it, and I don't like it either, so I'm pretty neutral when it comes to this. I honestly don't like Blitzer Stolas as much, so I don't care too much about this episode. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Strike one. Don't worry, that'll be relevant later. This episode's a 4 out of 10. I don't understand the hate for Veronica, to be honest. Personally, I like her, but I know a lot of people don't like her. And despite the joke I put at the start of the segment, I don't like her in the Marvel Rivals Emma Frost way. Jokes aside, what I mean is I like how she's visually distinct from other succubi characters in terms of design. That being said, I really like this episode, and the comedy was really good. The jokes landed pretty well, despite what the image I chose here may suggest. Sorry about that. So I give it a solid 10 out of 10. Okay, so why do people say this is one of the worst episodes? This is easily one of the best episodes because it's just entertaining all the way through. So obviously I'm going to give it a high score. More so because of the funny joke about the money stock image. That actually made me laugh a lot. So I give this episode a solid 9 out of 10.
Even monkeys fall from trees.
Striker is a cool villain. That's really it. And the running gag of Moxie being beat up by a shark was actually really funny. Not much else to say. Good episode. 8 out of 10.
I am just a figment of your imagination.
Yet again, more antagonists I actually like because of how funny they are. I really like Agents 1 and 2 having a sort of Jesse and James dynamic. That was really fun.
Prepare for trouble, our middle name.
And make it double. It's a high-stakes game.
To protect the world from devastation.
To unite all people within our nation.
To denounce the evils of truth and love.
To extend our reach to the stars above.
Jesse!
And James.
Sorry, I had to. The joke was right there. This was kind of the episode I realized I don't really like Blitz. I don't hate him, but I definitely don't like him. The dorks were really funny as well, especially in their interrogation with Moxie and Blitz. So, for that, and other factors, this episode's a 7 out of 10.
Hang up that computer call, come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling romantical.
I like how Veroska always shows up in a different outfit every time she appears. That's not remotely related or even relevant to what I'm talking about, but I just thought it was a cool detail. Now, to be honest, I dislike Blitz and Stolas equally, so I don't really care about their relationship that much. Though, that doesn't ruin the show for me. It's just I don't like them as characters. The rest of the show and its jokes are fine. These two just bug me a little. I don't want to hear the, well, don't watch it because Blitz and Stolas are the show. No, they're not. The show's a comedy. I'm watching it to be entertained. I also really liked the visual joke in the episode when Veronica started singing and Stolas was just looking at Blitz like, damn, dude, that's your ex? I'm gay and I even know you fucked that up bad. This episode wasn't the best, but it had its moments, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I know some people don't like Bee's design. Personally, I like it. I probably didn't choose the best image because her demon form is kinda ass, but she is one of my favorite characters in the show. Luna was kind of a dick for no reason. Like, Bee was being nice to her the entire time, and she really didn't even have to, considering she's royalty. Here's a crazy idea. Maybe IMP would have a lot less enemies if they were just nice to the people who are nice to them. I can't really put my finger on it, but I feel like I'm forgetting to mention something everyone does when they talk about this episode. Sorry, I had to make the joke at some point. Anyway, this episode is easily a 10 out of 10. Season 2. My thoughts are way more mixed. Some episodes I really like, others I really dislike. So, if some of this section of the video is a little more negative, that's why. To be completely transparent, I skipped the flashback part the first time I watched this episode. I watched it again, and unfortunately, I still really don't care about Stolas and Blitz's relationship, and this episode is just kind of weak in general. So, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give this episode a 3 out of 10. pretty weak start to Season 2.
I may have gambled away our plane tickets. You what? How do you even do that? It's Vegas, Brian. You can gamble anything.
I kinda have to agree with the general consensus. This episode isn't the best, but it's not bad either, so I'd give it an average 5 out of 10.
Since we're all gonna die, there's one more secret I feel I have to share with you. I did not care for The Godfather.
This episode was pretty good. I think it's nice to learn how IMP and its members met. Last episode we saw Luna was adopted by Blitz. And this episode we see how Moxie and Blitz met in prison. You know what? Probably the best I don't question why there's prison in hell. Though some of the episode wasn't as enjoyable, it wasn't bad. It also has some good jokes here and there. Crimson isn't my favorite villain though. I think if he had a better introduction, I would like him more, but this episode did not do him a lot of favors. Not much to say. Overall, 6 out of 10. This episode is great, the comedy is good, and I also really like Striker in this episode. I think he's way better than his original appearance, because he was kind of just generic evil cowboy then. This episode also had the best fight scene in the entire show, and no, I'm not taking, that is not an opinion, that is a factual statement. You cannot change my mind. This is easily peak Helluva Boss episode. No arguments to be made. And it is easily a 10 out of 10. And there's no conceivable way the next episode has to be even better than the last.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
This episode is just ass. Like, who in the writer's room thought this episode would be enjoyable in the slightest? It just sucks. I guess Millie sings an okay song, which is kinda a positive. But the rest of the episode, it just sucks. Like, this is easily the worst episode in the entire show. It literally has 0 redeeming qualities. How do you go from the best to the worst episode? I know Jimmy is meant to be 18, but he doesn't look or sound 18, like, at all. Also, why did Barbie Wire have to say teenagers are so easy to manipulate? That just really rubs me the wrong way. I really don't want to see Party Wire in, like, any more episodes, and I hope we don't, because she's definitely saying,
"Oh, ain't no party like a Diddy party," so.
Jokes aside, this episode is the worst so far, and I will safely say it's a negative 10 out of 10.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment, and I don't expect to be forgiven.
Okay, I know a lot of people aren't gonna like hearing me say this, but this episode just made me lose any potential sympathy for Blitz. There is a difference between an accident and mass murder and arson, you dumbass. Wow, your dad is giving your friend more attention on his birthday? Listen, I know Cash isn't a good person, but this is still entirely on Blitz. It's genuinely shocking how this episode tries to make you sympathize for Blitz after showing he committed mass murder or arson, killed his own mother, probably a whole lot of things. Like, way to make him irredeemable, guys. Great job. The rest of the episode is fine and actually really good. The Blitz backstory is holding it back from being a 10 out of 10 episode, unfortunately. Striker and Crimson feel like antagonists who make sense to work together, so I'm glad they're not just pairing villains together randomly for team-ups and making it have some sort of sense to it. Despite the really bad backstory, this episode is still really good regardless of that, and is easily an 8 out of 10.
First of all, congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money.
Ignoring the fact the title is as long as in those, like, stereotypical isekai anime titles, this episode was actually really good. Mammon is also just a great villain. No real complaints with him. He's just a really good villain. The songs were just mid. However, the comedy was definitely where this episode shined, and it shows. Honestly, usually I would dock the score of an episode because the songs are bad, but the jokes were so good that I'm still just gonna give it a 10 out of 10.
Alright, so I'm just gonna do a lightning for the 4 shorts. Personally, I think this should have been how all the shorts are formatted. Give a little bit of development to all the side characters, as well as like one main character thrown in there if you wanted to. But yeah, I think the shorts should have been stick to the side characters. 8 out of 10. Not really anything funny or worth noting, though I do think it is kind of cool that they showed that penguins are actually pretty aggressive. So, 5 out of 10. I really don't want to talk about this one. This short is on par with Unhappy Campers with how egregiously bad it is. So, same score as Unhappy Campers. Negative 10 out of 10. Okay, this short is actually the best out of all of them. It's funny, the jokes are innate. Really nothing bad to say. Honestly, it's a 10 out of 10 easily.
We are going to steal!
Pause for effect.
Okay, I'm gonna be blunt. When I See You is one of the worst songs in the entire show, mainly because Blitz isn't even singing, he's just talking. Like, I can't really sing either, but at least I can, like, pretend sing. So, yeah. The Cherubs and Dorks were easily the best part of this episode, literally no questions asked. I give it a 7 out of 10. Not the best, not the worst.
Smash.
I really like this episode, and it's one of my favorites. However, everyone who watches this either only talks about Blitz and Solus, says Rosca is really bad villain, or probably just watches with their eyes closed and volume all the way off. Besides that, I actually think the only episode I actually like seeing Blitz and Stalls' relationship develop in. Anyway, time for a rant. But unfortunately, my issues with this episode come down to how people somehow miss the point of the episode when the episode very clearly points it out. The episode itself is really good, though. Also, did it ever occur to anyone who watched this, or at least paid attention, when Verosika reaffirms Solace in, like, the song, did it ever occur to you that she's basing it off her experience? Because the majority of people at this party have had a similar, if not identical, experience with Flitz as Verosika did. But apparently, Dennis is there, so you're wrong. Like, genuinely, you have to actively be trying to ignore everything that happens in this episode to come to the conclusion Verosika's in the wrong. Like, if you can empathize for Blitz, who is literally a mass-murdering psychopath, who murders people pretty much every episode, I feel like you can empathize for Verosika, but I guess that's not the case. Keep in mind, Blitz abandoned her after she said, "I love you," then just took everything she owned and just left. Yeah, might be a little bit resentful. Crazy, I know. I don't know, maybe I'm alone in thinking this and I'm just crazy, but to me at least, it seems like Verosika was in the right, and everyone just kind of ignores that for some reason. Anyway, sorry about the rant. This episode's actually really good, and probably one of my favorites. My main issue is how people miss the point. Easily one of the best, 10 out of 10, no questions asked. Honestly, kinda surprised ghosts don't exist in this universe, but I guess that kinda makes sense considering if ghosts did exist, IMP couldn't be a business. I like how we learned Millie's backstory, though it kinda, even though this was advertised as a Millie episode, it really feels like it's a Blitz episode, but Millie's also there, so there you go. It's not bad at all, it's just that, and I'm not someone who cares about Millie enough to actually make it a big deal, but yeah. This was more about Blitz, because he had the majority of screen time, and it doesn't really even bring anything new to his character, but it's not a bad episode, it's still a really good episode. Anyway, did you like the jump scare? Anyway, this episode was easily 8.5 out of 10.
This is big brain time.
This episode was really good. But oh my god, at least fake sing. Like, oh, what the hell? But damn, Satan carried this episode on his back. One of two complaints I have is I wish they made it more clear Satan was overhyping himself in this scene, because the episode and the other Sin's reactions kind of just imply, yeah, Lucifer's a fucking bum. Also, if you watched an interview Vivzy Pop did with someone, I forget, I'll put it on the screen, she said no main characters in Helluva Boss will die, which basically made this scene have zero stakes whatsoever. I like how they made Satan menacing while also adding some humor. That's something I haven't mentioned really up until this point, but I like how the writers managed to balance like making an antagonist threatening and intimidating while also making them funny. I haven't said anything about Androphus yet, mainly because I wanted to talk about him until now, and honestly, he's kind of just the perfect main antagonist for Helluva Boss. Can be clever, intimidating, and funny, which just is a good main antagonist for this series. This episode, despite its flaws, is a 10 out of 10 for me personally. I know, and it's kind of just the same reason the Mammon episode was a 10 out of 10. Also, strike 3. To address the Krampus in the room, SINSMAS being literally Hell Christmas, not having Krampus, who's literally demon Santa Claus, as the mascot, and like why they give each other gifts, is just insane to me that they didn't think of that. That's a big missed opportunity in my opinion. Just saying. I know I'm mostly railed on Blitz this video. Trust me, still this is gonna get just as much shit from me. I was just waiting for the third strike. Yeah, that's right. This video's had payoff the entire time. I understand what the writers were going for to make it so both of them realize their faults in their own relationship, but they didn't do a good job at it, and I completely get it if people think they play favorite towards Stolas, but he does ultimately face consequences for his actions after the events of Mastermind. Also, hot take, Octavia should never reunite with Stolas. In fact, she should completely shut him out of her life. Stolas has proven time and time again he isn't a good father, and it's not like she didn't give him a chance to improve. And before you start typing in the comments, Stolas way worse, yes, she is, but that is a really low bar to say. That means Stolas is doing less than the bare minimum as a parent by that logic alone. So, as Androphus said, I hope you enjoy Horny Jail Stolas. Anyway, this episode is not the best, so like 6 out of 10. Sorry to end Season 2 on a low note. Anyway, finally done with this video. Glad there's nothing else for me to talk about.
I know I would.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Ta-da!
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Negative 50 out of 10. The punchline was so obvious I could see it from a mile away. Oh, look, this guy's probably a creep, but guess what? He actually isn't. What? It also doesn't help how graphic his death was. Compare that to the actual terrible people we've seen, like Marfa and the Ronaldo guy. This was just like unnecessarily gruesome, and I'm fine with gore. Like, that's not the problem. It's just that he really didn't deserve that graphic something that graphic, you know? Like, Luna turned into a werewolf. Think of this from this guy's perspective. Him freaking out is completely understandable, because no matter how nice of a person you are, you're gonna freak out if you see a werewolf. Like, the only people I see defending this reaction are people who simp for Luna, have furry profile pics, etc. Like, his this is like a completely justified crash out. Anyway, here's my final thoughts on the series. Despite everything negative I said, I actually enjoyed Helluva Boss at times. It's definitely not something I'll be rewatching anytime soon. But some episodes were actually really good, and this video may have came off as negative, but I am actually interested to see what they do in Season 3 of this show. I will make another video like this for MAMMON'S Seasons 1 and 2, but I am not going to become one of those channels who just makes slop content about hating on the shows, because that's just dumb. So what I will be doing is making a video every 2 seasons of each newer seasons, so that way I can give my thoughts, but not make 500 videos about how Helluva Boss is cringe, because that's just slop content and I'm not doing that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and do all that stuff YouTubers tell you to do. I did the math, and if we take all 25 episodes and put them in one big ranking, we get 135 out of 250. That's Helluva Boss as a entire series total ranking as of Season 2 and all the shorts.